Our superb man today is a New York Times bestselling author. Today you'll learn about how passion and energy can open up doors of opportunity for you. You'll find plenty of gold nuggets of advice about parenting and how to attract and not repel your child when it comes to your passion. Prepare to be inspired. Let's go. Our superb man has written a New York Times bestselling book, Geekdad, awesomely geeky projects and activities for dads and kids to share. He is also the man behind Geekdad, the blog, podcast and community. Welcome to Ken Denmead.
Thank you very much for having me. This is very exciting. I have never spoken live with New Zealand before.
Woohoo! Loving it. So Ken, what is your greatest joy as a parent?
Oh my goodness, it is simply watching your kids turn into people. My boys are almost 14 and 15 and a half, so I've got two good, solid, right in the middle teenagers right now, and they are really coming into their own as just wonderful, mature, good people. And that just sort of tells me that between making some good choices and luck and whatever other things that you can take pride in, they're turning out to be pretty good people. So, and you measure yourself by how your children turn out. Are they good folks? Are they what are the measures of their success? And so, I couldn't be happier.
Oh, I totally agree with you there. I just love it when, like, one of my daughters will say something really kind to me or something, and you just think, yes, I'm doing a good job. Yeah.
Every time somebody will tell us that one of our boys has been exceedingly polite about something, or that they're very mature, or things like that, it's always heartwarming. It means, yes, I've gained a new check mark in the parenting column. I upped a level. Achievement unlocked.
Absolutely, that's awesome. So we have lots of warm memories of our own children, but do you have a warm memory of your childhood?
Well, I mean, in general, it was a very, very lovely childhood. I grew up here in the San Francisco Bay Area, and one of my just strongest overall memories is the house that we lived in when I grew up was in a town. You've probably heard of Berkeley, California. I grew up in a town a little bit north of Berkeley, but in those same hills that face the bay and look out towards San Francisco and towards the Golden Gate. And the house that we lived in we had a view of the bay and of the Golden Gate, and you could see those things. And I remember it was an amazing experience just to be able to watch sunsets from that vantage point, every single night of my formative years, just being able to see that beauty and enjoy it so much. I never took it for granted. And so that's, it's sort of a formative image for me, is just watching the grandeur and, being very proud of the place that I live and really recognizing the beauty.
That's awesome. Sometimes it's the scenery, isn't it? I haven't really thought of that before, that some of the childhood memories that stand out to us is just appreciating what's around us. That's really great. So we often have
being aware of the place that you live.
Yeah. So we often have quotes that motivate and inspire us.
Yeah.
Do you have a quote that's inspired you on your journey?
It's rather amusing, but probably the most motivating quote that I remember it's from a movie. And it's from sort of a cult classic film, The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension. And it's often quoted humorously, but basically it says, just remember, no matter where you go, there you are. And that's sort of, I think that's the message to try and live in the moment. I think I'm sort of a somewhat obsessive geek type personality, and so I worry about the future, and I think I overthink things. I spend a little too much time in my own head obsessing over things. And, I try to remind myself that quote sort of reminds me is, you have to enjoy the moment, or once it's gone, you've missed it. So it's better every now and then just to take a step back and enjoy what you have, rather than to keep worrying, obsessing about what may or may not happen in the future.
Absolutely. And then, sometimes it's like, put the iPhone down. It's so easy,
not very often, but yeah.
days. But I'm using it to take pictures. Yeah, that's awesome. So is there a time where this quote really stands out to you, where you've actually said, actually, I need to just really appreciate this moment?
Often for me, it may be when we're on a trip or a vacation somewhere, and you can get very caught up in making sure all the plans are straight and that everything's going efficiently and stuff. And but I've gotten to a point, especially we are a very big Disney family. We go to Disneyland probably twice a year.
Awesome.
And that is a place where I will do my very best not to worry about rushing around and trying to get on as many rides as possible or anything like that. My joy is to find somewhere and sit and watch people. And often that's somewhere like the lobby of the Grand Californian Hotel, which is that beautiful arts and crafts hotel that they have near the park, or it'll be in downtown Disney somewhere, or it'll be on one of the stoops on Main Street in Disneyland, where you can just sort of sit and watch all of the people walking up and down Main Street. And it's so much fun just to relax and to, feel yourself in that place, which they've done such a tremendous job of making a very, a safe, happy, enjoyable place. And so I think that's where it comes to mind the most.
That's fantastic. Yeah, we just love theme parks here. I actually went for my birthday to a theme park here in Auckland with my hubby, just me and him. It was really fun. Yeah, got to have fun these days. So what inspired you to write Geekdad?
Well, no, it was, it was a number of things coming together. Obviously, I think it started about a year and a half, a little bit more, after I had really gotten involved and taken over the blog and sort of taken that leadership position on the blog. And half the inspiration was there was just so much great content coming up there. You had to figure out a way to sort of use that and do something more with it. And honestly, it was a little bit of luck in that authors, some literary agents had come calling basically to see whether or not there was anything that we could work together on. And so we worked together on, obviously we had such great content, we had all these great projects. And so that became the key of what we could put together and turn into a book, create something that would be a resource for parents who want to spend quality time with their kids, but don't have a great idea of what shape that quality time should take. Why not, make it a matter of creating stuff together out of things that you probably already have lying around the house, but putting that sort of geeky, nerdy bent on it, make it a little bit scientific, or make it a little bit, fun pop culture-y, and, learn something together as you go.
Oh, that's fantastic. I love the philosophy behind it. And for example, my hubby, I don't know if it's in your book at all, but Andrew's got all these tubes of cardboard tubes, and he made a Rube Goldberg machine out of those and stuck it onto a box, and they had a little ball, a bouncy ball that we just went down, and it was so cool.
That's fantastic.
What we had around, it was so cool. So, so Ken, what do you believe has been your greatest success, and why?
Oh my goodness. Everything that's happened, there's so many political answers to be had there. I mean, honestly, my greatest success, I would, from a family standpoint, is that I have these wonderful boys that are growing up so well, and I have a wonderful wife, and we have a very, a great marriage, a great family life. We have done it. We all get along, which is often a challenge when you have teenagers, but they are good kids, and we have a tight family unit, which is really nice. Professionally, everything that's happened with respect to Geekdad has been just a surprise and phenomenal. When I joined the blog in sort of early mid 2007, I could never imagine that 6 years later I'd be being interviewed from New Zealand. Or awesome. Many of the other things that have happened, I could not have predicted, the getting to, I now have, because of that first book, I have that little appellation, New York Times Bestselling Author. I would never have dreamed that I would ever get to that place. But that's one of the things. That's like you were elected mayor of a town. Now everybody has to call you Your Honor for the rest of your life. It's I get to put that on my business cards forever now, and it's like that's really neat. I never would have dreamed that would have happened. But all of the wonderful people I've gotten to meet, it's been fantastic. I've gotten to interview Adam Savage of the Mythbusters and Morgan Freeman and all sorts of amazing people I've gotten to talk to, and it has opened up many amazing experiences. But I also just look at the group of people we've had at Geekdad and Geek Mom are just really good people, and they're wonderful to know. They are my extended family, my friends spread out all over the world, and that's been so enriching.
That's fantastic. And you've touched on a few people who I would imagine will be part of this support system that I'm going to talk about. We often, when we do our successes, we often think, actually, there's been some people that have really helped me out so that I have been able to do this fantastic thing, which you've mentioned many wonderful things like the book and the family. And so do you have a support system that you rely on to help you and motivate you to keep going?
Well, I mean, internally it's the family. It's, with everything that's happened, my wife and kids alternate between obviously being quite supportive of all of these things that have given us all, really interesting experiences, and, rolling their eyes that, oh yeah, Dad's doing another radio interview or something tonight, so we'll let that go. They've been really supportive that way, and that's been wonderful. Professionally, there have been people all along the way that have done tremendous things. It's probably started with Chris Anderson, who was the editor-in-chief at Wired Magazine, and Geekdad was originally his creation. He started it as his own personal blog to share the projects he was doing with his kids. But I got a chance to be part of it, and then when I just sort of went crazy with it, he recognized something and handed me the keys and took a step back, and that was the opportunity that just sort of gave me the chance to fulfill some dreams.
Absolutely, and it's really cool how people can do that, like can spot the talent in somebody else and say, hey, right, you go for it, and you've probably taken it to another level, by taking it on as well.
Yeah, and I always try to return that gift as much as possible. I know whatever personal measure of success that I've attained because of the Geekdad experience, it's because of this whole community of people that I've worked with, and so anytime anybody asks something of me, I'm just usually more than willing to help and lend a hand and give everybody else whatever opportunity I can.
That's awesome. So what's the geekiest thing you've ever taught your children?
Oh, let's see. Probably how to sing some of the songs of comedian Tom Lehrer. If you've ever heard of him, he was a very famous comic musician and very popular in certain geek and nerd culture. I've taught them how to play role-playing games, and I've usually take every opportunity I can to teachable moments about science and physics and so forth that I always love. I try to point things out to them as much as possible. I think one of the a fundamental child development trick that my wife and I just sort of did on accident, but that I think has had a huge impact on how our boys were raised, was simply that we never, or almost never, talked baby talk to them. We always had conversations with them. We always spoke to them as if we were speaking to any other person, even when they were infants, when they were toddlers, and so forth. And that, I think, gave them sort of a leg up in terms of how they could communicate and relate to other people. And I think that's been a very specific thing. So that, if I were able to write actually a children's book, or a book on child development, that would be my first number one thing. So that's what I like to think I taught my kids. Was I taught them how to speak. I taught them how to be able to communicate with people, and that's something that a lot of people don't get.
Oh, I just love it, because we were just the same. Talking with girls as they were babies, I was like, "You're crying because you're tired right now," and just communicating that it's okay, but you just need to go to sleep right now, and you'll feel better,
Right.
So yeah, I love that. I love that you've done that as well. That's really cool. So we've come to our wow round. This is where I'm going to ask you some quick questions, and you're going to come back with some amazing answers. Are you ready to inspire?
I will do my best.
Yes. So Ken, what is your superpower?
Holy cow. My superpower is always being cautiously optimistic. I don't know. That may not be a superpower. That's just sort of a personality trait. Cool. But I always believe that things will work themselves out. So as stressed out, and I tend to be the very calm person in any situation. So I don't know if that's an overt superpower or sort of a mini superpower, but that's what I like to think I bring to the table in any situation.
That's fantastic. So when did you first visualize yourself running Geekdad?
Probably about 2 minutes after Chris told me he wanted me to do that. At the time, I had been, when I joined, I sort of realized that it was the perfect thing for me to do as a writer. I'd always been, kind of a closet writer and communicator like that. And so when I was given that opportunity and that platform, I went to town and I was writing things all the time. And I think it was that sort of passion and energy for the idea that he saw. But I never thought about running it. There was stuff that I could do that needed to be done, and so I did them. And eventually that resulted in, here, why don't you run it? And then I picked my draw up off the floor and set about the business. And it's not as if I had any great training or previous skill to do that thing, but it's always been a matter of, like Indiana Jones, I was making it up as I went along, and doing whatever I thought seemed right. And for the most part, that has worked out pretty well.
That's awesome. And you were able to grab the opportunity when it presented itself. So that's just awesome. Yeah.
Right.
So what 3 qualities do you believe you have that have made you a success?
Patience, an ability to communicate. Obviously, I am actually, interestingly enough, I am a civil engineer by trade, and engineers are not always recognized as the most skilled communicators or so forth. And I've always taken great pride in the fact that I am a pretty decent writer and communicator. So that has done me great stead. And I've got a good sense of humor, and I figure whatever you're going to do, at least have fun doing it. So that's how I try to be.
That's awesome. a sense of humour has actually come up quite a bit in my conversations with successful parents. It's quite cool. And I have to mention my best friend, when I was practice interviewing, she said her superpower was her sense of humour. So that was quite cool as well.
It's definitely in my arsenal.
Actually up there. Yeah, that's awesome. So what would you like to be remembered for?
Oh, my kids. You know, that's going to be the most important, that people will take a look at them and just realize, you know, somebody did something right.
Yeah,
I mean, everything else that's happened is just gravy. You know, lots of wonderful opportunities, and I've been able to take advantage of some of them and do things that people have enjoyed and make a lot of great friends. But in the end, it's you know, hopefully people recognize that I was, you know, a good person, that I helped people, and people got some stuff out of my silly ramblings, and that, you know, I did right by my friends and by my family, and that my kids will remember that, and were, you know, when they get interviewed for whatever their amazing successes will be in the future, that they will, you know, at least give the nod to mom and dad that, you know, they had wonderful, happy childhoods, and that they, you know, they felt the best things in their lives were that they were prepared by their parents to do the things they get to do.
That is so cool. So what charity are you passionate about?
You know, a few. Right now, actually, our Geekdad, we are connected with, there was a Kickstarter for a really great game called Viticulture that was all about winemaking. And the gentleman who did that game is holding a charity auction, and he's raffling off some really nice copies of that game. Like he handcrafted wood versions of the game, and and he's doing that with all of the blogs that helped him, you know, exceed his Kickstarter goals and get his thing done. And so all of the proceeds are going to charity, and our charity is Child's Play, which is all about getting, you know, gaming systems and games into the hands of children in need in hospitals and so forth. So that's always been, you know, near and dear to our community. And you know, I'm a big fan of SPCA's, Societies for Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, and the World Wildlife Federation, and such as that.
There's some great causes there. That's great. So what internet resource do you just love right now? For me, it's obviously Skype. I just love it.
Yeah, no shame on Skype. We've been using Google Hangouts on air for our podcasts, Geekdad. Yes. And then, you know, since Google shut off their reader service, I've been relying very heavily on Feedly for my RSS reading. I mean, I think I spend probably an hour out of every day reading my my news feeds on Feedly. So that one's really important to me.
Awesome. That's a good hint. So what book would you recommend to our mums and dads? It could be a parenting book or a business book.
Oh my goodness. A good friend of mine, Asha Dornfest, recently came out with a book called Minimalist Parenting with her writing partner, and it's a really interesting look at how to simplify the parenting experience, raising your kids and so forth, trying not to get caught up in what can be an extremely complex and frustrating experience overall. And it's filled with ideas and guides and tips and tricks for how to just you know, find the simple through lines in what you want to achieve as parents. And hopefully that's available down there.
Fantastic. I'm sure Amazon will probably sell it. Is that
right? Probably.
Awesome. So, what are you excited about right now?
It's the holidays.
Yeah.
If I could take out, so my other little dirty secret is that I am a holiday lighting nut.
Awesome.
I am a loony. You know, I'm not as bad as that couple. I guess they're in Australia who just broke the world record for putting something like 500,000 lights in their front yard. But we just have a small suburban house. But over the years, I've gotten more and more devoted to my holiday displays. And right now we have at least 4 inflatables, including a 16-foot tall Mickey Mouse inflatable. And I have my wife let me purchase last year a device that is a lighting controller with 16 channels that I can run and sequence with music. So there is literally a musical light show in the front of my house every night during the holidays.
That's so cool. I bet you get lots of people coming to look at your house.
They do slow down when they're driving by. Yes, we get a fair bit of that. I'm either the envy of the neighborhood or the curse of the neighborhood, depending upon who you ask.
Let's say the envy for us.
Well, we'll go with that for now. Yeah.
Yeah. So this last question, we're getting near the last questions, but is to really help our mums and dads who are really passionate about something. For you, it's being a techie and sharing about Geekdad and that kind of things with your activities with your children. What are 3 things that that these mums and dads could do to perhaps take them to the next level so they can share the passion with their children as well?
Well, let's say, I write about, I don't know whether I can come up with 3 things, but I can sort of guiding principles is, if you are a geek about something, and I think we're using the word sort of the same way, is that if you're a geek about something, you're a little bit obsessive about it. It's not just a hobby; it's a passion, and maybe every now and then it's such a passion that it will cause you some form of social detriment. You'll go lock yourself away in the garage working on your toothpick model of Minas Tirith from Lord of the Rings or something like that.
Awesome.
But when you have kids around, you want to try and share those passions with your kids. Part of our jobs as parents growing up is to give our kids as many experiences as possible so that they have a chance to find the things that they will be passionate about. We would love it if they would be passionate about the same things that we are. But then you have to walk that fine line between giving them the opportunity to be interested in what you're doing, make them feel welcome into experiencing that too, but not pushing it so hard on them that they will rebel and react against it, and then they hate everything you do and they stomp off crying to their rooms. So oftentimes what's more important to do is not push them towards it or pull them to it. Is to just do it yourself and be obvious in the fact that you enjoy it. And at some point you will probably see them get curious because, well, somebody else is having fun and I'm kind of bored right now. So why don't I figure out how to have that fun too? And it's you just got to keep your eye open and look for those opportunities. My wife, who is an educator, says that in the classroom, those are called teachable moments. It's that you have that opportunity when a kid has thrown off all pretext and all cynicism about something, and they're just open to being informed, and they're interested, and they want to have some part of their brain filled up with information. And so keep a sharp eye out for those, and then take those opportunities to give them a chance to fall in love with what you fall in love with.
I love it, that philosophy of just doing what you do and showing that you love it. Sorry, I have to think of something funny. I do that with vegetables. I try and show them how much I love these vegetables. It just doesn't seem to work.
Yeah, there are some things that you're never going to be able to overcome. Yeah.
No. That's great. So Ken, before we say goodbye, would you like to share some final inspiring words and, perhaps how we can get in touch or follow you?
I don't know if I have any more inspiring words other than, just enjoy your kids and try to always strike that balance between, being their parent and being their friend. And, half the time you have to be the person that sets the limits and enforces the rules. But within those bounds, you can also be someone who enriches their lives and gives them all the experiences that will make them well-rounded and wonderful people when they grow up. So always look for those teachable moments, as I say. And if you want to find us, there is geekdad.com, of course. There is also geekmom.com, which is we call it our companion site. We actually, when I started running Geekdad, one of my key things was I wanted it to be a parenting site, not just a dad site. So I always had some moms involved. And then we went ahead and started a mom site as well, because there are obviously two very different, but also very important voices to be had. So you can find us on Twitter. It's at Geekdads, plural, and at GeekMomBlog. And you can find us on Facebook, and you can find us on Instagram, and everywhere you might go looking for us, we're probably out there somewhere. And we have a podcast. We have a bi-weekly podcast on Geekdad, so you can look us up on iTunes and give us a listen.
Absolutely, and I know my husband really enjoys listening to that podcast for sure. And we also had Jenny Williams on a few weeks ago, so yeah, it's great to have the geeks in unity.
Excellent, very good.
So, yeah. So I just want to say, Ken, thank you so much for all you've shared today. It's truly inspired our mums and dads, and we wish you every good thing for your journey ahead. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and good luck with the project.
I really resonate with a lot of what Ken has shared today. Please head over to theparentalist.com and send Ken out a thank you tweet. It's as quick as clicking a button, and I know he'd really appreciate it. Also check out his podcast, Geek Dads. It's a lot of fun. Have a great week. Have a great weekend, because you know what? You're pretty great. See ya.